As we get ready to celebrate the American tradition of Thanksgiving, we thought we'd share the plight of what many call an American treasure, the wild Mustang. Brought to North America by the Spanish conquistadors in the 16th century, these horses once thrived in the grassy western plains. Their future is threatened now, with many Mustangs shipped across the border to slaughterhouses and thousands more inhumanely housed in pens by the federal government. But Del Mar's Madeleine Pickens is working to change their fate. She has a plan to save the wild Mustang, a living symbol of American patriotism and freedom. This galloping herd of Mustangs is a sight to behold. And today, in 10 western states, tens of thousands of these wild horses roam freely, living off the land. For most, home on the range is in Nevada.
We've got almost 600,000 acres out here.
That's where Madeleine Pickens, an animal rights advocate, philanthropist, and ex-wife of billionaire T. Boone, has dug in her boots, purchasing land as far as you can see. A 30-minute drive from the rural town of Wells, her sprawling ranch in northeastern Nevada looks like a scene from the Wild West, with teepees dotting the plains, breathtaking views, and hundreds of wild horses. When you see them out there just grazing right now, what a sight.
I know, and you know what's interesting? They're so happy.
More than 4 years after starting the nonprofit foundation Saving America's Mustangs, Pickens is using her land to develop a wild horse sanctuary and eco-resort. It's called Mustang Monument, a permanent home to protect and care for wild horses. 560 wild Mustangs, and you have a name for each of them.
I certainly do, yes. I thought carefully, how am I going to name this many horses? And I said, wow, that's easy. We'll start with 1, 2, 3, 4.
These are the lucky ones. The Mustangs were once owned by the Paiute Indians and were on their way to a Canadian slaughterhouse when Pickens stepped in to save them. She's hoping to rescue hundreds more before time runs out. These are domesticated Mustangs. But 100 years ago, there were 2 million wild Mustangs roaming the range. That number is down to as low as 28,000 today. And Madeleine Pickens says if the government keeps on doing what it's doing, the number could dwindle to 0. You see, there's a dark side to the story of the American Mustang that is controversial, heartbreaking, and as old as the hills. With no natural predators, herd sizes can double in 4 years. So the Bureau of Land Management, the agency in charge of overseeing the wild horses, conducts helicopter gathers to control the population, forcefully separating horses from their tight-knit families.
It's a pretty traumatic process. They come in with helicopters and they circle them and they start to guide them into an area. When they do that, they have a Judas horse that they use, and the lead mare starts following this Judas horse, which leads them straight into a trap. And there their freedom ends.
The government program of gathering and housing Mustangs costs taxpayers millions and leaves thousands of wild horses in small holding pens to live out the rest of their days.
It's inhumane, it's cruel, there's no trees, no shade. They're paying $70 million a year for this program. Well, multiply that by 10 years or 20 years, you're looking at over $1 billion.
There's got to be a better way. What's currently being done isn't working.
Clay Nanini manages the ranch and is helping Pickens forge ahead with her plans for a sanctuary. But there's resistance from cattlemen who don't want horses grazing on federal land, which as a property owner, Pickens has access to. Why can't the cattle and the wild horses coexist?
Well, they do in several places. The only thing is that, if you're a cattleman, you're a little put off with the fact that a horse is eating forage that your cow can eat.
Pickens insists there's plenty of space and food for livestock and horses, and she's optimistic those opposing her plans will come around. This messiah of the Mustangs is in it for the long haul.
You could be doing anything. You could be anywhere. Why here?
Because I love it. I love animals. I love the Mustangs.
Pickens insists her nonprofit sanctuary will sustain itself with the help of the eco-resort she hopes to open late next spring. It's a place where tourists can see the Mustangs up close, learn about their history, and gaze up at the stars from their teepees at night, just like they did in the Wild West. Well, maybe not quite like they did in the Wild West. You see, these accommodations are much more plush. We'll show you more of that tomorrow. But if you'd like to learn more about the Mustangs and how you can help, go to www.savingamericasmustangs.org. A mission is underway to save the American Mustang. Once recognized by Congress as a living symbol of the spirit of the American West, today their very existence is threatened. A Del Mar philanthropist and animal rights advocate is hoping to change their fate. Madeleine Pickens has created a home on the range for these wild horses, a sanctuary called Mustang Monument, where horses roam free and travelers can indulge in a vacation experience they'll never forget.
What's more American than the American West?
Madeleine Pickens is used to the finer things in life. These days, the entrepreneur and former wife of energy tycoon T. Boone spends much of her time working on this dusty ranch in northeastern Nevada. Your dream is being realized here. How many years in the making has this been?
4.5 years.
The spectacular property sits on what used to be an old mining town. It spans 2 mountain ranges and 3 valleys. It's a place where you can gaze up in the sky and see the sun peeking through the clouds and the moon at the same time. Even the weeds are beautiful around here. What do you think when you look out?
Well, I look at it and I go, I am so lucky. 900 square miles. Now, if we can't accommodate 1,000 horses, shame on us, shame on everybody.
For Pickens, it's all about the wild horses, a symbol of American patriotism now in trouble. First brought here by the Spanish, the population has dwindled from 2 million in 1900 to as low as 28,000 today. Thousands are currently being held captive in small pens by the Bureau of Land Management to control the population on federal land where they compete for limited grazing with cattle. So far, Pickens has rescued 560 horses, including these you see here, once headed to the slaughterhouse. She wants to save more, and she's hoping to do it by telling and selling the Mustang story.
I realized, out of this has come something great. Let me create an eco-resort. It's a sanctuary for the horses, but it's an eco-resort for the American people.
It's a resort like you've never seen. In addition to the planned museum, adventure hikes, and safari tours, there are some plush accommodations. While this horse eco-sanctuary looks like a scene from the Wild West, visitors who stay inside these teepees on the properties won't exactly be roughing it.
What is sexy? How do you want to go on vacation? What do families think about? Kids love teepees, but I had to make them comfortable enough for grown-ups to go on vacation too.
Pickens says the smaller teepees will eventually serve as bathrooms with a shower, commode, and tub. And that's not all. These luxurious tents are imported from Africa and better furnished than many homes.
It's an interesting vacation. All of a sudden you're out in the wild, you're on safari, you're seeing wild horses, but yet you have your creature comforts.
Of course, the creature Pickens is most concerned about is the Mustang. The horses in this corral are domesticated and will give visitors an opportunity to see them up close. Pickens says the story of the Mustangs and their current plight needs to be told, and she can't wait to tell it.
Sometimes it takes a little bit too long to get going, but the dream is coming.
Ranch manager Clay Nanini is working hard to fulfill that dream. His biggest challenges include securing permits for the resort and federal grazing rights so Pickens can save more horses. He admits the BLM and cattlemen aren't too excited about her plans.
That all dwindles in time, especially when you're doing good and people realize that you're not here to change their way of life, and you're not here to step on anybody's toes. And Madeleine, I think, has demonstrated that she can be a good neighbor.
In the meantime, Pickens is forging ahead, creating a nonprofit foundation to secure Mustang Monument's future.
It's so that when I die, nobody can take this away from the horses. This will stay ad infinitum. This goes on.
And after an adventurous day of watching and learning about these wild horses, now home again on the range, visitors can saddle up to the TP Pub for a cold one.
Here's to Mustang Monument. Cheers.
A spirited toast to America's last wild horses of the West. It could be 2 years before environmental studies are complete and Pickens can secure grazing rights on federal land to save more wild horses. In the meantime, she's moving ahead and hoping to open her eco-resort to the public next spring. We'll keep you posted on her progress. For more information about the Mustangs and how you can adopt a wild horse, go to savingamericasmustangs.org. Sandra Maas, KUSI News.